okay, yeah. No, you'll have an opportunity to present after I present the staff findings. So when the mayor calls for you, you just go up and say your piece on it. Okay? Awesome. Thank you. Okay.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and get started this evening. This is the City Council Public Hearing Work Session for March the 12th. The clerk will call the roll.
Mayor Brian Mock,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Paul Stovall, Councilmember Jimmy First,
Here.
Councilmember John Mesa, Councilmember Leslie Robson, Councilmember Elmer Vythe.
Here.
Thank you. I'll need someone to approve the agenda, please.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion and a second. All in favor? That is unanimous. All right, that'll take us down to public hearings. I'll read the rules of order for public hearing zoning matters. The hearing shall be presided over by the mayor. After calling the hearing to order, the mayor shall request that all parcels of property which are subject to the zoning proposal be identified in red. Following such identification and reading, the development director's recommendation shall be presented. The mayor and council shall cause the director's written recommendation to be made part of the record. Proponents of each proposed zoning decision shall then be allowed a total of 10 minutes for presentation of data, evidence, and opinion concerning each zoning decision. If all 10 minutes are not used, the proponent's remaining time may be reserved for rebuttal. Opponents of each proposed zoning decision shall then be allowed a total of 10 minutes for presentation of data, evidence, and opinion concerning each zoning decision. The presentation times may not be reduced but may be extended by majority vote provided they are expanded equally for proponents and opponents. Anyone wishing to speak shall come to the microphone, give your name and address to the city clerk. Do not speak unless you have the microphone and have been recognized. With that, we'll move into the first public hearing, and that is PZ 2026-1539, 2800 Northeast Expressway.
Evening, Mayor and Council. Matt Adams, City of Chamblee Department of Planning and Development. So the first item on the agenda tonight, as you said, is 2800 Northeast Expressway. This variance is a response to a 2023 code enforcement action resulting from a non-compliant dumpster location on the lot. In 2024, Council approved a variance to allow the placement of dumpsters in a non-compliant location as a result of that other citation, but placed a condition that on the approval that specified the enclosures could not be located along the Johnson Road frontage. The property owner informs us that the location specified by Council in their approval has been rejected by their solid waste servicer as too hazardous, which necessitates a change in the conditions. As Council has already approved the variance at this location, I will not focus on the hardships that exist, assuming that Council found that at that time, and focus instead on the condition that the applicant requests to change. So as you can see in this aerial photograph, the property has frontages along both Johnson Road and Northeast Expressway. The original intent of this condition was to place the enclosures along a secondary frontage as a means of mitigating the visual impact of the dumpsters as seen from the public right-of-way. However, this condition appears to not have taken into account the function of Northeast Expressway as an access road for I-85. As a result, the applicant's solid waste servicer has rejected the location as unsafe for their operations. Staff finds that the high rate of speed along this road, limited access from surrounding streets, one-way orientation, and topographic changes from Northeast Expressway make it unsafe for use as a utility entrance. The alternate location indicated by the servicer is at the northeast corner of the site adjacent to Johnson Road. You'll see this noted on the site plan on the slide in red. In reviewing the request against the variance criteria, staff found that the location of the dumpster does not change the calculus as to whether or not the request meets the threshold of establishing a hardship and therefore has no concerns with the request. Here you can see the subject property along its Johnson Road frontage. As you can see along Johnson Road, it provides easier access for the large trucks that will be necessary to serve the site. Access from Northeast Expressway, on the other hand, has topographic changes that make the process of slowing down and turning into the site difficult, not to mention navigating to where the dumpsters would be, which is highlighted in red on that photograph. Here you can see the proposed dumpster location on the right photograph. The servicer has temporarily located the dumpsters as shown in the rightmost photograph, pending a permanent relocation. This is a photograph of existing dumpster enclosures on the site. As you'll no doubt recall from the previous variance application, this site is long and narrow, has multiple buildings, which require the use of multiple dumpster enclosures. The plan is to build this enclosure as shown with the other enclosures on the site. And based on staff's findings, we recommend approval of the variance request with one condition, that the site be limited to no more than 2 enclosures.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this item? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition?
Okay, my name is Hamza Abdi. I own the property to the left of them, 2800. Actually, we had the same issue. And I talked to one of your counselors, and they said I had a privilege to just not have dumpster. And I choose that one because I respect your code, I respect the city code, so I choose to remove my dumpster at all. But this one is, I am sure this ordinance was passed to ensure the beautification of friendly environment, placing the city of Chambly and city of Chambly. If you grant this exemption, that your goals are defeated right at the entrance of my building and as well as theirs. And what am I asking is, since we asked to put the dumpster on the left side of our building, we have been told we cannot put it there. So we choose just to do away with it. So if you grant them, I mean, you are defeating your code of conduct, your regulation, just right here. I'm asking you not to grant this variance.
Anyone else here wishing to speak in opposition? All right, I'll remind everyone these items do come up later on in the agenda. There may be questions from council at that time. We'll move down to the next item, PZ 2026-1642, 1700 Century Circle.
So this case involves a sign variance for a company called MedVet at 1700 Century Circle. The property is zoned MUBC and was recently redeveloped as an emergency animal hospital. The applicant previously received permits for work at this site, including permits to install 2 wall signs, and there is an existing monument sign that was also refaced. This is located on a corner lot at Century Circle and Century Boulevard, as you can see in this map. I'd note that both Century Boulevard and Century Circle are private streets. Here you can see the unique geometry of the building, which was originally constructed in 1983. Of note is that while 2 permits for signs were pulled, we require 1 permit per each sign. 3 signs were installed on the site. Staff finds, as noted in the staff report, that due to the nature of the use as an emergency veterinary facility, along with the majority of the parking being placed awkwardly in relation to the entrance, the additional sign is warranted due to the need for users to quickly identify the location of the entrance. 2 sign permits which have been issued are indicated on green on this site plan, while the 3rd location is indicated in red. Here you can see the signs as they currently exist. On the right, it shows the 2 permitted signs as well as the previously existing monument sign I mentioned. And then the sign that is the request of the variance is shown on the leftmost photograph. Based on staff findings, we recommend approval of the variance request as proposed.
Anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this item? Come on up.
My name is Mark Ford, Ford & Associates Architects. We're the architects for the MedVet property? Yeah, I concur with what, staff has said. The permits were applied for and received to install the signs as installed, so we're just asking that the signs can remain as they were installed. All right, thank you.
Here wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? All right, seeing none, we'll move on down. This is PZ 2026-1643. This is 3297 and 3289 Hardy Avenue.
So the applicant for this project is requesting an amendment to the future development map to change the future land use of the site from office to airport. The subject properties are located west of the Aero Center PDK Airport and east of the new Mercy housing development. Properties previously contained 2 single-family residential structures, which were demolished in December 2025. Permits for demolition were applied for in December. Demolition has since been completed, and the lots are currently vacant. Subject properties are located within the airport character area, which envisions the area as a hub of business activities centered around PDK Airport. Policies and implementation measures in the CDP call for centralizing as many primary and secondary airport functions within this character area as possible. Surrounding future land uses, as you can see on this map, include airport uses to the north, east, and south, with office future land use to the west. This photograph shows the subject properties with the single-family residential structures having been removed. It is of note that the current zoning of the sites as industrial would not allow for these to be reused as single-family residences, so they could not go back to what they were. The structures were legally non-conforming. Here you can see the neighboring land uses to the south and west of the subject properties, largely industrial and commercial in nature, with some residential here and there. Based on staff's analysis, we find that the proposed future development map amendment is consistent with both the intent and policies of the comprehensive development plan as a whole and the airport character area specifically. And as such, we recommend approval of the proposed change.
All right, anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this item?
I'm Matthew Park. I was the applicant and work with Pastor Associates, the civil firm that helped with this application. Any questions you guys have, I'm happy to answer. And I'd also like to say I really appreciate the planning department for working with us on this one.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
I'm Ronnie Mayer. I own 3302 Hardy Avenue. I have no problem with it at all. I'm just wondering why I didn't ever get a notice in the mail. Usually when something comes up like this with properties everywhere else, you get something in the mail from the city saying this is coming up and just letting you know, but I got 0 in the mail. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
I'm Ron Lynch with the Lynch Group with consultants for Epps Aero Center. Gary, we need this parking lot. They're in dire need of parking. It's a mess over there with the lack of the way that this facility is laid out. So we really need this to be able to utilize. Right now, we're having to move cars through aircraft operations area to get over to get them parked near the fuel farm. So this will be a great help for the parking with the facility. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? All right. Takes us down to PZ 2026-1657, and those are the same 2 properties.
So this application is, as you mentioned, attached to the last one. So this is to amend the zoning map for these properties from industrial to airport, and to allow 2 concurrent variances, which would allow a fence height increase from 4 feet to 6 feet within a yard facing the public right-of-way, and a variance to allow a chain link fence within the front yard facing a public right-of-way. The intent of this rezoning is to allow a new commercial parking lot that'll be used by an existing fixed-base operator that operates out of the PDK Airport. Subject properties are bordered on the north, east, and south by the PDK Airport, which are all zoned airport. Properties west of Hardy Avenue across the street from the subject site are zoned NC2 and include a car repair and service business, a CrossFit gym, and a light industrial commercial uses, with a multifamily housing development, that being Mercy Housing, planned at the corner of 6th Street and Claremont Road. The airport zoning district is set aside under the special zoning districts section of Title II. It's specifically intended to accommodate properties that are located on land used for the airport and permit both industrial and commercial activity that is directly related to the airport's operations. Based on the information provided, staff supports the proposal to rezone the properties to the airport zoning district, as it would further the policies and intent of the CDP and the UDO. Because of the unique goal of this district, the airport district allows exemptions from other portions of the Title II that would cause issues for these particular uses. Amongst these exemptions is an exemption from the permitted and prohibited use table, which in this case would prohibit new service parking lots as a primary use in any other zoning category. I know that there's been some conversation about these properties being industrial and that allowing for surface parking lots. In no property outside of airport zoning are you allowed to have a surface parking lot as a standalone use. The applicant proposes to redevelop the properties as 33-space parking lot to serve the existing fixed-space operator. Staff finds that this use would be in line with the allowable uses within the airport district, which require any allowed use to be directly related to airport operations. Regarding the variance request, staff finds no site constraints that would cause a hardship, as the UDO would qualify one. Because of this, we cannot support the proposed variances. So staff is recommending approval of the zoning map amendment subject to the following conditions. One, that the development be constructed in substantial conformity with the site plan dated January 16th, 2026, and that the applicant be responsible for conforming to all applicable standards set forth in Titles 1 and 3 of the UDO. And we are also recommending denial of the 2 concurrent variance requests.
All right, anyone wishing to speak in favor of this zoning map amendment?
Matthew Park again, Pastor Associates. The client has no issue with the additional conditions and is preparing to move forward with a different fence than was noted in the variance applications.
I'm on 3302 Hardy Avenue again. If it's something to do with the fences and airport operations, it needs to have the fence out there because it's a federal airport for security reasons. If that's what all this stuff's about, the 6-foot-high fence, it needs to be out there for security for the airport. Thank you.
Opposition? All right, again, these items do come back up shortly. That takes us down to PZ 2026-1646. This is 3380 Hardy Avenue, 3384, 1982 4th Street, and 1974 4th Street.
So this request is for a development of community impact, which involves a new 4-story, 61-unit mixed-income multifamily building along Hardy Avenue and 4th Street. Along with the DCI, the applicant is also requesting approval of 8 variances and 9 waivers. The subject site contains 4 existing parcels totaling 1.8 acres with frontage on Hardy Avenue and 4th Street. West of the site is the Chamblee Library in the DeKalb County Public Library System. And southwest of the site is Claremont Park. Here you can see the 2 residential structures which would be removed along 4th Street to construct the project. And here you can see the existing residential structure on Hardy Avenue and the vacant lot which is central to the site. This photograph shows an alley to the north of the site which has been partially improved to function as a driveway and parking lot for neighboring properties. This comes up in our staff report under analysis as one of the site constraints we identify. The site's been home to both commercial and residential structures, though I would note that the use of the site has been residential since the 1950s, when the existing single-family residential structures were constructed following the demolition of a commercial structure along Hardy Avenue. There are no previous zoning cases associated with any of the 4 properties that staff is aware of. The combined project site is approximately 1.8 acres and zoned NC2, which limits impervious surface to a maximum of 80%. The applicant currently proposes 66% of the site to be covered with impervious surface, the remaining 34% remaining impervious. The NC2 zoning also requires a minimum of 10% open space, and the applicant is currently proposing to provide 19% of the site as open space. Multifamily structures are required to provide 1.25 parking spaces per unit. Multiplied by 61 units and rounding up, that would place the parking requirement at 71 spaces, and the applicant is currently proposing 81. And the bicycle parking requirements of the UDO state that 1 bicycle parking space must be provided for every 20 automobile parking spaces. Rounding up, this would require 5 spaces to be provided, and the applicant is proposing to provide 6 spaces. Unit breakdown for the proposal is 34 one-bedroom units, 20 two-bedroom units, and 8 three-bedroom units. Per the future development map, the appropriate unit density for mixed-use future land use properties like 3384 Hardy Avenue, 1982 and 1974 4th Street is between 6 and 84 units per acre. The applicant is currently proposing a density of 33.7 units per acre, which is under that maximum allowance. Here you can see the open space plan showing the open space shaded in gray. Again, they would be providing roughly 20% publicly accessible open space. Sorry, 20% open space, half of which would be publicly accessible. My apologies. Due to the topographic changes on the site, the applicant is proposing several retaining walls that range in height from 3 feet to 7 feet. These are most notably situated on the north and western portion of the site. So that is some of our conditions of approval we are proposing are related to those and how they are measured. To comply with the minimum tree density requirements for this site, the applicant proposes to plant a total of 166 caliper inches of trees, consisting of 28 overstory trees, 33 evergreen overstory trees, and these trees will be distributed along the site perimeter and within the parking lot landscape islands. Here you can see elevations of the proposed structure, which are also shown on the other sides that I'm about to show. The proposed structure would be 4 stories tall, with a height ranging between 50 feet to 60 feet. Materials would be a mixture of brick, fiber cement paneling, and metal canopies. Along the Hardy Avenue facade shown in this slide, the structure would be 120 feet long, with fenestration comprising 46% of the facade. And along the 4th Street facade shown in this slide, it would be 202 feet long, with fenestration comprising 34% of the facade. Based on our analysis, the proposed development meets the requirements for granting a development of community impact request. Because of this, staff recommends approval of the DCI request. We do recommend 4 conditions, should council choose to approve this project. That the development be constructed in substantial conformity with the January 22nd site plan, that the development be constructed in substantial conformity with the January 22nd elevations, that the front yard along 4th Street used for determining permitted retaining wall height be 10 feet to align with the supplemental zone requirements, and that the applicant provide an access easement to neighboring properties connecting the proposed parking lot and pedestrian walkways to a neighboring site. This case was reviewed by the Design Review Board in February, and they proposed several recommendations. As you're aware, the UDO specifies that the DRB does not make recommendations about the approval or denial of DCI requests or concurrent variances and waivers that are submitted alongside them. Their goal is to make recommendations for council to consider that would improve the project if it were to be adopted as currently submitted. Their recommendations after reviewing the proposal were as follows: that the applicant explore adding balconies to the Hardy Avenue and parking lot facades, that the applicant explore shifting the building and parking lot eastward to align with the supplemental zone, that the applicant design the retaining walls in tiers so that each tier does not exceed 4 feet in height, and that the applicant work with the Chamblee Planning and Development and Public Works Departments to explore pedestrian connectivity to adjacent lots through the alleyway. As a note on that last condition, I would mention that both the Planning and Development and Public Works staff have discussed this alley in general, and there are significant site constraints and encroachments into the alleyway from neighboring residential properties that would make improving the alleyway potentially infeasible. Because of the high likelihood that improving the alley in the manner suggested would not be possible, I would recommend that if council adopts this condition, that this be limited to an exploration of the possibilities and not an overt requirement that connectivity be added. Moving on to the variance and waiver requests, the applicant is requesting 8 variances and 9 waivers. Variance requested are to reduce the balcony requirement to 0%, to reduce the exterior brick stone requirement to 30%, down from 60%, to allow ground floor multifamily uses within 100 feet of Hardy Avenue and the unimproved alleyway, to not wrap the ground floor with active uses, to allow bronze National Green building standard instead of silver, to allow parking between the building and 4th Street, to not require the building to be constructed adjacent to the alleyway, and to allow retaining walls along the alley street side yard to not exceed 2 feet in height. Waivers requested are to reduce the 10-foot landscape zone to 8.8 feet along 4th Street, to not provide interparcel access, to not provide the required 5-foot landscape strip between head-to-head parking, to allow type 5 wood-framed construction, to allow cement fiber lap siding, which is prohibited on structures taller than 3 stories, to not build the structures adjacent to the Hardy Avenue supplemental zone, to not build the structure adjacent to the 4th Street supplemental zone, to not provide the underground utilities or pay the in lieu fee, and to decrease the minimum driveway spacing. As I've stated before on other applications for variances and waivers, staff's analysis on these applications focuses on determining whether hardships are present on the site that make compliance with the requirements of the UDO impossible, infeasible, or impractical. While staff found that there are site constraints such as topography, existing sewer easements, multiple frontages, and other items that create hardships related to compliance with certain streetscape, active use, parking, retaining wall, and driveway spacing requirements, we did not identify hardships that would otherwise prevent or inhibit compliance with the other sections of the ordinance the applicant is requesting relief from. Because of this, staff is recommending denial of variances 1, 2, and 5, as well as waivers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8, and recommending approval of variances 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8, and waivers 7 and 9.
Anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this item? Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Josh Marks. I'm the applicant with Region Partners. Really appreciate the opportunity to present this opportunity to the city of Chamblee. We're very excited about being able to bring mixed income, high quality, affordable housing to the city of Chamblee. Really appreciate Louisa and Matt and their support and help throughout this process. Very excited. I do want to just call out a couple of things related to the recommendations for denial. Specifically, one of those is to require that we use concrete and steel to be able to construct the multifamily community. And I just frankly want to express how important it is that we're able to use type 5 wood frame construction, which is in compliance with the IBC and Georgia requirements and the state of Georgia's DCA requirements. To not be able to do that would render the project infeasible. Balconies have come up a lot and came up during the DCI process with the DRB. It's primarily for noise mitigation for our residents. And when we have balconies on the front, I think y'all are aware, we're right next to PDK where we're developing. And, you know, frankly, for their benefit, feel like residents may not access the balconies in the first place since there, you know, is noise that sometimes comes from PDK. But more importantly, the large glass doors that are typically required for balconies just have lower STC ratings. And so it just makes noise mitigation within the unit more challenging. Lap siding was also mentioned. That's really just to create an accent and a good high quality material to provide an interesting look at the site. Brick reduction was also requested so that we could just have it be more communal feeling, fit in with the neighborhood, and feel a little bit less civic in nature. Happy to answer any questions that you all have. Thank you very much for your time.
Anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of this item? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition?
Ronnie Mayer again, 3302 Hardy Avenue. If y'all approve this, y'all are out of control. The infrastructure won't handle it, number one. Y'all just add on the big building on Claremont. We just had a problem with mud, everything over there. We didn't see code enforcement slapping their hand over there, but we all had dreams of doing beautiful townhomes on Hardy Avenue. Those are the last 4 or 5 streets in Chamblee that are affordable housing for people. And if y'all keep doing these apartment complexes, you have no investment in your city. The owners, they build it for 5 years and they sell it off as a tax write-off. You have no control of it. There's no ownership there. Whoever they rent to, and I don't care if it's $3,000 a month, class, you can't really buy it. If they have Hemi Cudas or whatever, you're going to have people running up the road at 100 miles an hour. When you own, you care. When you rent, you don't care. And then in 5 years, when this developer gets rid of it, then you really don't have control. So you might as well go ahead and order a few more squad cars, but I don't think your infrastructure will handle all this stuff over there. And this is not the place to put a 4 or 5 story. You know, if you want to put some townhouses there, it would be beautiful, but an apartment complex, come on. And your infrastructure will not handle it. Thank you.
Ronnie. Anyone else here wishing to speak in opposition?
Good evening. 3368 Hardy Avenue, Eric Johnson. I feel kind of strange because usually I am a developer too. Actually, I did Chalfont on Peachtree, the 25 brownstones right down the street. I guess my thoughts here are, and I'm pro-development. I applaud the city on affordable housing. I like to use the term workforce housing. I'm helping a bunch of other cities with that too. But you heard the common theme, and if you looked at that site location map again, this is a neighborhood, okay? This is, and Ronnie was talking about like Wingate Road. I don't know if anybody ever drives down Wingate. Those are single-family homes, probably the most affordable homes in Chamblee where people can live with children and have a backyard. It's kind of nice there in the evenings on Hardy Avenue. People are actually walking their dogs and everything else down that street. So again, I applaud this. This mixed income, it's not. There's 61 units, 55 are what is called affordable housing, which is great. 55 units of that. 61 total. There's 81 parking places. There's 96 beds in there. You can do the math. There's already a parking issue over there. We just talked about taking 2 other homes down and putting a parking lot. I'm not sure where these folks are parking. It's already kind of gets clogged up on, if you come out on 4th Avenue, 4th Street, and you get up to Claremont, it's really, really tough to get in and out of there. And then so you'll go down Hardy, and I guess on New Peachtree, it's really congested in there. And to put and if you looked at the site map, you're putting an apartment complex right in the center of a neighborhood, okay? Where single family people, there's actually homes on 4th between the entrance and exit of this proposed development where families are living where they've got to drive up to Claremont Road. So again, I'm a huge development person. Just the mere fact, I don't think I needed any variances down there on that townhome. I worked within and tried to make it work for everybody, and everything kind of developed around it. The synergy on this just doesn't make sense to me. And again, I think there's other options for this. I believe the best way, and what we try to do and others, is you have a workplace housing component, maybe 10 or 15% in every one of the apartment complexes all over the place. So you have differing people who work, policemen, fire, teachers. They live in different areas, and that area over there is not really that accessible to MARTA. I've walked to MARTA from my office. It's not that accessible. So I applaud the affordable housing, I do, and the workforce housing. I just think a bigger picture look at it in the city of Chamblee would be beneficial, and I think it would be extremely detrimental to the people who have young families in there who are living and working in single-family homes, raising their kids. I think it'll make a major, major impact to them. But thank you for letting me talk.
Sir. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition?
My name is Catherine Pettigrew. I am the homeowner at 1957 4th Street. We purchased our home in 2001. Brought 3 kids home from the hospital to that house, raised them there until the house got too small, moved across the street. So we love the area. Still own the home, and it is being lived in by my parents. My dad's a retired veteran. My mom is retired. They're on a fixed income, and so they live there. It's a perfect situation. They're close by to us. The neighborhood is important to us. Excuse me, I've got a cold. We purchased the home as a home to live in, a home to have our children live in, my parents live in, us potentially live in, not as a rental or a space. Most of the people on the street also are homeowners as well. Again, Wingate was mentioned, the street behind us is a small neighborhood. I do not know the gentleman that owns these particular lots, Mr. Todd, personally, but I am uncomfortable with the concept that one person can purchase up an amount of property in a community and change the entire community. It won't be a neighborhood anymore. Other than that, the other things that bother me are again, like Ronnie said, the infrastructure can't handle it. The sewer systems, the flooding, I have lots of concerns. It already floods. There's huge floodplains. With the new development on Claremont on the other side, I don't know already what's going to happen there with that. We're almost like in a bowl. Our backyard floods like there's a river there. There's a giant sewer culvert in our backyard to handle some of the runoff. I mean, it's pretty bad. The traffic is another huge concern. I'm sure it doesn't take, if you've lived here at any point in time, you've seen an accident right there on Claremont. Turning left off of Claremont into the library or onto 4th Street is very dangerous. Turning left off of 4th Street onto Claremont, I can tell you again, as living there for 15 years, I didn't do that. I went down Wingate, I went around, I never turned. It's dangerous, and having that many cars coming in and out with the only entrance being the singular entrance and exit onto 4th Street is going to cause a lot more, I believe, a lot more accidents. The other thing I wonder about, my oldest is a junior at Chamblee High School, so this may not be a concern for me personally much longer. I went to DeKalb County High Schools my whole life. I have 3 kids that went through DeKalb County High Schools. Where are these children going to go to school? We've got so much issue already with redistricting and where everybody's going, but there's so much overcrowding in this area. And if we're planning to attract more families to the area, we have to have school space for these kids to go. Ultimately, if this building is approved, I want to be certain that it is a building that, and no ill will to this company, but if something does happen to this company, this has to be a building that's sellable. We can't just have this poorly built building sitting that no one's going to want to purchase, and then, that becomes a huge problem. The quality of the building, it just seems like they're asking for a lot. So, again, that's what I have. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? All right. Very good. All right, Matt, that takes us down to 2026-1666. That's the same address.
No, so this is 1666. This is Chamblee Tucker Road, 2816, 2820, 2822, and 2824 Chamblee Tucker Road. So this is a request from City of Chamblee staff to add the 4 properties to the future development map and assign them the commercial future land use designation as part of the I-85 district character area. As you'll recall, in 2025, City of Chamblee annexed these properties into the city using the 100% method. At that time, they were zoned DCA, but they were not added to the future development map or assigned a future development category or character area as is the required process. Here you can see the existing future development map, which omits these properties. Just to the south, you can clearly see the existing I-85 district character area shown in green. This is taken from the city's own GIS mapping software. On the left of this slide, you can see the proposed future land use designation of the properties as commercial. And on right, you can see the existing I-85 district character area that these properties would be incorporated into. The proposed commercial future land use is consistent with surrounding properties, and because of the compatibility with surrounding future land uses, which are all commercial in nature, staff finds that this is the most appropriate means of incorporating the subject properties into the future development map. But based on this analysis, staff recommends approval of the request.
Thank you, Matt. Anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this item? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Very good. Takes us down to the amendment to the UDO. This is for beauty shops, microblading, and permanent makeup.
Thank you, Mayor. Since this is a text amendment to the UDO, it requires a public hearing. And simply what we are doing here is adding some definitions. So currently our code requires that you, in order to provide microblading, which is essentially a permanent makeup type of service where you can draw on eyebrows, for example. It's commonly done in cosmetic establishments and other areas. But essentially what this code is doing is adding a few different definitions to the code to allow that service to be available in areas where tattoo establishments are not zoned. So specifically in a beauty salon that might provide this service, this would allow them to be able to do that, limited to just providing a microblading service or a cosmetic service. It also redefines a tattoo parlor to a tattoo establishment and creates some limitations around that as well.
Thank you. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of this item or on this item? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? All right, very good. We'll take us down to approval of minutes. Did anyone see anything that needed to be changed on the 2 sets of minutes? Everything good? Very good. And that circles us back around to new business, and this is beauty salons, microblading, and permanent makeup. Discussion from council. Anything? John Mesa.
Kristen, prior discussion, we talked about having guardrails around that it keeps the microblading and other things in, like you said, beauty establishments and versus tattoo establishments, as you said. Can you explain a little bit about how that's?
It wouldn't prohibit a tattoo establishment from providing a microblading or permanent makeup service. It would just allow beauty salons to do it without having to qualify as a tattoo establishment. And it would be limited to just those 2 services within a beauty shop definition.
Got it, because that's what my question was really more poorly worded, but it was about being able to get tattoos in a beauty salon versus the other way around.
Right, yeah. No, a beauty shop as it's defined here would only be allowed to provide and it's specifically defined to not disrobing either. So only microblading and permanent makeup services, and it's pretty specific about those definitions.
Thank you.
Any other discussion from council? All right, I'll take us down to electric vehicle parking ordinance.
Excuse me, will this move to first read for Tuesday?
Yes.
Thanks.
Very good. Electric vehicle parking ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is pertaining to electric vehicle parking. As you know, we have several EV charging stations on Peachtree Road, as well as in several of our parking lots for city facilities. So this proposed ordinance would prohibit anybody from parking in those parking spots that do not operate an electric vehicle and are not charging the electric vehicle. And it also limits or restricts those vehicles to parking no longer than 2 hours between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m., which is consistent with the limitations on Peachtree Road already, where those parking charging stations are currently located.
Good. Did everyone have a chance to review that? Any discussion from council?
Thank you for getting that, working on that, Kristen.
Yes, the little things that make us happy.
Yes.
Do we want to move this forward?
Yes.
First read. All right. All right, under staff action items, that takes us down to Safe Streets for All Safety Action Plan.
Council. My name is Julie Owens, Assistant Director of Public Works, and tonight I am pleased to present the Safety Action Plan that our consultant, city staff, and the community have been working on over this past year. As you may recall, this effort has been supported through the U.S. Department of Transportation's Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program, which helps communities develop strategies to reduce roadway fatalities and serious injuries. Adoption of this plan will position the city to pursue future funding for implementation. So with that, I would like to invite Elizabeth Shin with Tool Design Group to come up and walk you through the plan.
Thank you, Julie. Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Shin, a project engineer with Tool Design, and we've been very happy to work with the city over the past year on your safety action plan. So to recap the mission and the goal behind safety action plans, it's to reduce and eliminate fatal and serious injury crashes within the city limits. As part of a requirement for the SS4A program, the city has to set a target for that. So the city has set a target to reduce and eliminate fatal and serious injury crashes within the next 20 to 25 years or by 2050. So as part of the safety action plan, it follows the federal process within the Safe System Approach Framework, which covers, you can see on the wheel, different elements such as safer speeds, safer roads, safer vehicles, post-crash care. It's not only looking at past crash trends and being reactive to those, but also thinking about proactive efforts and strategies that the city can take on to help reduce those fatal and serious injury crashes and other risks. So these are the different components that are included in the city's safety action plan and required by the USDOT for adoption. And so the city's plan has these different elements, looking at the last 5 years of crash data for data-driven safety analysis, working with the safety working group, which we have some members here today, doing public engagement efforts throughout this past year, including a public meeting in November, and then also a pop-up most recently at the Taste of Chamblee in October, considering equity considerations of where those recommendations are happening, policy and process changes, and then what a lot of people are interested in, the strategy and project selections when it comes to infrastructure engineering recommendations, and then monitoring progress per the SS4A, SSA approach. So these are kind of the headline statistics for the city. Like I mentioned, the data-driven safety analysis looked at those crashes over the last 5 years. Those fatal and serious injuries crashes that this plan is hoping to address and eliminate is about 101 over that 5-year time period. And the crash types, this is just, it's in the plan, so a lot of the details, but I'll move forward. But oftentimes there are certain crash types that are lead to more fatalities and serious injuries, In this case, for the city of Chamblee, that's collisions with vulnerable road users, so pedestrians and cyclists, and head-on crashes make up about half of those crashes that are happening. From that, the data in these plans, we develop a high injury network and then a high risk network. So the high injury network is what is that reactive of looking at those 5 years crashes. Where are those happening? Where are those clusters? And where are those corridors that's happening? And then the high risk network is more proactive of saying what are the similarities of where these crashes are happening and where the city should focus looking ahead, where there might be potential fatality or serious injury crashes. And then also taking a look at we looked at the data to see that where those clusters are happening at specific intersections. And the plan includes recommendations for the top 10 most dangerous intersections, 8 of which fall on state routes. So either on Beaufort Highway or on Peachtree Boulevard, and they make up about half of, or 20% of the citywide FSI crashes at just those 8 intersections. Like I mentioned, we did various engagement efforts over the last year as part of this plan per city feedback and requirement from the USDOT. And so one of those elements we had on the city website, engagement opportunities over the last year. We had an online map you can see on the screen with a lot of responses. We also had our safety working group that we met with about every quarter, and that included, it also included staff from the CDC, so that was an interesting perspective to have, and we're very lucky to have that in the city of Chamblee. And then lastly, we did field visits on that high-risk network to come up with recommendations and at school sites as well. And what we heard, there's a summary within the plan of engagement, but and this kind of led to a lot of our recommendations as well of taking into consideration not only what the data is showing, but what the public said as well. Sorry, the clicker's not working. And then, like I mentioned, as part of the SS4A framework, it also has a recommendations for policies and programs, so that was also driven based on what we heard from engagement and from our safety working group, addressing some of those safe system approach strategies like safer speeds and safer roads. And then in the recommendation section for those priority streets and priority projects, there's strategies can be applied both in the reactive perspective to the high injury network, but the proactive to the high risk network. So here's just some recommendations. It also took a look at those top 10 intersections, like I mentioned, that are the most dangerous, and there's graphical representations of what those recommendations look like. Coordination with GDOT obviously would be required, with 8 of those 10 being GDOT right away. And continuing with the coordination with GDOT that would be required to help implement this plan, about half of those FSI crashes in total, so about 50 of those 101 FSI crashes occurred on Beaufort Highway or Peachtree Boulevard. So getting this plan in front of GDOT and District 7 will be very important to move this forward. And that is it. I'm available if you have any questions.
Questions from council?
No questions, but I just want to thank you for putting this all together. Every week I talk to residents that have concerns about safety, specifically near schools. And there's no surprise that the highest crash areas tend to be the state routes that we don't have control over and that we can't do anything with. So this gives us the ammunition that we need to work with GDOT to bring more safe transportation options to those areas. So thank you.
All right, I would echo that. Thank you to Tool Design for all the hard work. There's a lot of public input on this, and, you know, the two that are within our purview were no surprise to any of us, but good data to have, and as you said, we're blessed to have what's left of the CDC in the city of Chamblee. They helped us with this tremendously, and so I appreciate all the hard work on this. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, this will take us down to easements for the Chamblee-Dunwoody Road roundabout project.
Thank you, Mayor. These are two easements to move some Georgia power poles so that we can get the roundabout project started. We just need your approval so that we can move forward and submit those easements to GDOT.
All right, anyone not excited about moving power poles? Questions from council? Good, okay. All right, this will take us back to our public hearing items, and this is 2800 Northeast Expressway. Matt, I believe the gentleman that was in opposition has already left, but I'm curious about what he was speaking of. Are you aware of any negative impact to the neighbor, or are you aware of what he was speaking of?
I am not, although I'll note that one of the perennial calls that we get is about dumpster violations, people receiving code citations. The two options that we give folks are you can either move it to a compliant location, or if you can't do that, then you can apply for a variance. It sounds like in this situation, he may have taken a third option to just remove it from the site as opposed to applying for a variance. But I can't speak to the specific situation that he was referencing.
That's what it sounded like to me, that he took it upon himself to remove his dumpster, so now he doesn't, he wants to.
I need to look into my notes. I believe I spoke with this gentleman a few months ago. His concerns were not strictly about location, but I need to go through my notes, and when I find that, I'll share that out with everyone.
Sure.
I believe he has been in front of us with a variance request to move it, and he was not satisfied with the outcome of the conditions that were placed upon that. If I have this correct, I will double check that though and confirm with everyone.
Okay, if we could just look at it, make sure what he was exactly taught. I don't want to undo anything or do for one that we didn't do for the other, or that kind of scenario. So, all right, any other concerns from council? 1700 Century Circle. Questions from council? No. All right.
This is the pet.
That's the pet, yeah.
Pet emergency.
Yep, sign.
No questions.
All right. 3297 and 3289 Hardy Avenue.
This is the parking lot.
That's the parking lot.
Is the applicant here on that? Yes. I guess I should be asking Matt, actually, but we'll see. We'll see who's best. So this, while it's connected to airport operations, it's not part of airport operations, correct? You'll have a separate gate to take you into airport operations, like a security gate or that kind of stuff? So
It has its own fence.
So it's the primary purpose of the fencing around this parking lot is to protect cars. It's not to keep people out of the airport.
Correct.
Got it. Just want to make sure I had that clear. And you're talking, and I think you said that you were going to do a compliant fence.
Correct.
Versus the chain link fence.
Yeah, the issue is the street-facing fence.
Correct.
Fine with moving forward with a more compliant fence.
Yeah, we pretty much are 100% on that, so.
So the parking, is that long-term parking, or is that just going to be for employee parking?
It's just employee, I believe, correct? Or is it long-term as well? I'll let Ron speak on that.
Okay, just curious.
Now, the issue is parking, period. Any sort of parking is a nightmare over there. So they're having to actually valet cars over, like I said earlier, to the fuel farm area and park them over there, and then it's in the way of getting fuel to the tanks for the aviation fuel. So it's more than likely going to be employees. That's probably going to be 90% of it. But we said earlier, you know, there's going to be a security gate, so it'll be fenced off separately. But it will primarily be employees, but it also could be clients that are flying in and out, the jet traffic come in and out.
Do you have any plans to build hangars on that site? Do you have any plans to build hangars on that site?
I think in the future you're going to see that, and that's would be my guess. We are not involved in that at this time, but I would imagine at some point it's going to grow on that side, would be my guess. I mean, right now the hangars over on that side are extremely old, very old hangars over on that side of the airport. So I would expect.
Hangars on this property that we're talking about right now?
No, this piece probably has no hangars.
That's what I'm saying. In the future, the size doesn't lend itself to any.
I'm talking about on the airport side of this property, yeah. But on this property, no, it's less than a half acre. This is a little teeny, so this will always be parking there.
Asking the question because I did receive an email today that is it going to be hangars? And I knew the answer, but I still want to ask the question.
No, it will just be a parking lot, nothing else.
Long-term use, the goal is a parking lot.
And, you know, I don't know where it's going in the future. I mean, at some point, if the airport grows more, of course, you've got to come up with parking somewhere on the airport. Additionally, this time, this is, I mean, it will be basically on the airport, you know, if approved, but they're just out of parking places over there on that side. You know, if you go back on the main entrance road, you come in where Atlantic Aviation is, or you go on the opposite side where Signature is over there on that side. The way that was developed over time is they had wide open spaces where EPS and Aero Centers is, you know, it's the original part of the airport. It was the original 1941 hangar at the beginning of World War II that is theirs. So the way that developed created issues with parking over time, and then they were boxed in, basically, is what it is. So that's the need for that parking lot.
No, I was just going to say, I do believe that anything besides that being a parking lot would require separate council action anyway, so it's not like we're going to approve a parking lot and they're going to sneak over there and put a hangar overnight, so.
All right, next up is, this is 1646, this is Hardy Avenue and 4th Street, this is the housing project. Any comments from council on this item? Quite a few. Applicant.
Yeah, if the applicant can step up. So, the joy of trying to make reasonably priced housing. Some of your requests for variances and waivers are change of material, building status. My concern is, what's the expected lifespan of this building?
Expected lifespan?
Yeah.
It's going to be there for extraordinarily long time. I mean, for
50 years, 100 years?
Yeah, 50 years.
Okay. So my concern is that some of the choices being made on the front end due to cost concerns in the long term are going to be minor over the length of the building and the cost for the people living there to live in them. The green building standards being at a lower level, the finish of the materials. So my concerns, like with the hardy planks being, cementous siding, what's the maintenance going to be on this building? How hard is it going to be to do that?
Sure. So
So the concern with not putting on as much of the masonry and going with cementous siding, you know, while that might be a cost change at the front end that gets it built, what's the long-term cost going to be for whoever owns that building to keep it maintained? So.
Sure. Great question. Again, Josh Marks with Region Partners. So just a commitment to everybody in the room, we are going to be owning this community long-term. We're long-term owners of these types of communities. So we're going to be owners for at least 15 years. You know, the lap siding request was strictly related to aesthetics. The code does allow for board and batten fiber cement siding. So it's the same material, but just in a different, you know, angle or whatever. You know, and those come with 30-year warranties, and then we will replace anything as needed in the future. And the expectation is that this is going to be a long-term mixed income community. And whether it's us or a partner, we, you know, would expect after 15 years to take it back through to get more resources from the state agency, which would allow us to do any sort of rehab at that stage. And typically the rehab, currently the requirements are about $25,000 per unit in order to rehab the development. And I would expect that that grows as inflation grows. But so long-term, I have no concerns about this being an extremely high-quality product. The reduction of brick, it's really just from an aesthetics perspective, and that, yes, to be honest, there is some cost implication. But, brick doesn't come with a 30-year warranty, while, fiber cement does. And, we always have to have masonry touch-ups, every now and then and stuff like that. But we are going to be, in the green building standard, it's really the silver versus the bronze. You have to stack these points in order to get to different levels. And in our opinion, you have to spend just some more money, but there's not really a benefit to the overall project. So that's really why I requested. It's not a make or break item, if I'm going to be completely honest with you, but that's what we just kind of believe, that we do these green building certifications all the time. That's just our opinion, what we think is, a good standard. But these are extremely long-term durable. The communities that are owned by us and that we've developed, we're very proud of, and are very, very high quality. Region Partners has developed a lot of multifamily and office and hospitality all throughout the Southeast. And I think if we shared any of ours with you, you'd be, anyone, you could quibble with some things, but the architectural standards and the quality of the design and the quality of construction, is best in class.
So the little comment you made about 15 years and the maintenance, and I think that's part of your tax credits, your state tax credits, to maintain your tax credits. So you have to put so much money back in. There's inspections and all that keep that going. And I'm familiar with that program, somewhat. I have a lot of concern about the traffic in and out and the traffic on the road and all that stuff, and I don't know if I can get comfortable with the impact on traffic. And I was just curious about our safe cities, if there's any that those nodes are actually part of the hot spots, where you're talking about leaving. I haven't looked back to see if that's the case, but I tried to look on the map during the presentation, but I couldn't spell it out. But it'd be interesting to see if that is indeed one of the hot spots already before building your development. And the balconies is very important to me. That's actually something that I brought forward probably 8 to 10 years ago on City Council. I really believe in those, especially on the frontages where the pedestrians are. I believe it kind of helps with the community engagement. Our mayor likes to say, don't tell me what you can't do, tell me what you can do. So as far as balconies, I want to know what you can do. If I know there's certain ones, I don't know if the same sides that you're talking about protecting from airport noise are the same sides that I'm talking about being visible. Maybe they're one and the same, but I would still like to know what you can do on that. You've made a good case on why you don't want to maybe comply, but there's got to be some, it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Sure. No, I totally understand that.
But like I said, I'm still trying to get my brain around the traffic impact on the community. That just jumped right out at me as the biggest thing that was an area of concern. So anyway, that's all I have.
And if I could just, respectfully respond to that, it is zoned for, we're complying with the zoning. We're requesting these variance requests. It is in line with the density that the plan calls for and the future land use, and it's close to the MARTA station. And, it's our intent to develop a community in compliance with what Chamblee is looking for, and that's just our intent.
I'm aware. I've worked on a lot of those things over the years, so
yeah.
I've worked hard on the affordability, so I'm tugged in two different directions.
No, I understand it. I appreciate it.
So was there any type of traffic study, any traffic impact study?
Yes, so as part of any DCI, we do require a traffic impact analysis that was provided to council as part of the materials for tonight. So a lot of those questions may be able to be answered by that document. And I'll note that those documents don't just go on a shelf anywhere. They are provided to the city engineer who uses it to update traffic analysis around the city.
I knew the answer to the question. I just wanted to hear you say it out loud.
Sure.
Talk to me about that. Can we?
What specifically do we need to speak to on the traffic
Well,
impact
several
analysis?
people, that was their concerns, and I just want to hear about.
No, your biggest concern is probably trip count in
Yeah,
and out.
yeah,
Was probably
and-
the starting point.
And the one entry, one exit.
While they're looking
On
that
the
up, one of
fourth.
the more interesting facts I learned this month about traffic counts here in Chamblee is that there's 17 million cars that go through Chamblee a month.
Yeah.
That's unique cars. Do you know how many car trips in total go through Chamblee a month? 22 million. So those are cars, that 5 million we see twice a day, or twice a month, at least twice a month.
Sure.
So when we're talking 81 spots, I believe it was, it's a drop in the bucket for what we see every single day in Chamblee.
The design of this was, it wasn't possible to route more than just one way in or out on 4th Street. Come on up.
That's correct. So in order to comply with the DCI and understanding of the city's desire for frontage, the 4th Street side, the Hardy side, really felt like the front door. In order for us to have a good, neighborhood feel in how the code looks for development to be up closer to the supplemental zone, we could not have a drive on the Hardy side. We initially discussed the potential to access via alley, but it didn't feel like we were going to be able to we didn't have confidence that we would be able to do what we would put on the plan, which is want to develop something that we can do, just because we don't have title information related to the alley and don't have any rights over there. So that did lead to us having the entrance and exit on 4th Street. And the code does require you to do a trip generation analysis, and our trip generation analysis that was completed, it fell below the minimum threshold that was required a full traffic study. So basically it's saying that the traffic impacts are not, a huge component. I would also like to consider that, while it is like more of a smaller street, it's not like it's going directly out into an extraordinarily busy street where they might, create issues. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And I'll let you off the hook, Matt, if you.
So I keep saying this over and over tonight. I don't know why, but I've been doing this a long time. So I know that these traffic impact analysis do not always capture the situation as far as like the danger, if it's in a dangerous curve or that. It talks about trips in, trips out, that kind of stuff. It doesn't really, in my opinion anyway, capture like you're sending more cars through a particular dangerous situation, not. So that's just kind of, I take those traffic impact analysis findings with a grain of salt. I use my eyeballs to tell me like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen here if we put more cars through this in this situation. So we haven't, as you saw in our very colorful map, we have enough areas that we can't do anything about. They're pre-existing and they just kind of happen through growth. And I'm not anti-growth, but I also want to make sure we're directing the in and outs the way we need to go.
Sure, and on that point, I just, this it is extraordinarily difficult to create and develop high-quality mixed-income housing. Extraordinarily difficult. This is all I do for my job. It's extraordinarily difficult. Every time I've ever found an opportunity that is a great opportunity, I consistently hear this is a great idea. If we could change where the location is within the city, that's exactly what we would like to do. Everybody just does like the idea of affordable housing, but not near where they are. And just respectfully, this is near transit, great schools, great jobs, a great community. These people who are living here earn $45,000 to $75,000 a year, and then there's unrestricted units. These are people who work for cities, for fire department, for teachers, for everyday folks. This is not low-income housing. It is high-quality, mixed-income housing. And if we can't do it here, we're not going to be able to do it anywhere in Chamblee. The land prices are, we're already paying more than we can afford and having to raise outside capital to be able to buy, property here. I know that Chamblee is very interested in product like this, and y'all have done an amazing job with your GIC team, and staff is incredible. We just want to be able to work with you all to complete this community.
I don't want to get too deep in the woods, but your company has built how many of these units in the last 5 years, 10 years?
So, full transparency, I joined Region Partners. I launched the affordable housing platform for us 2.5 years ago. Before that, I was with a group called Prestwick Development Company, and with them, I developed 25 of these and about 3,000 units. My partner worked with Walton Communities, which is another multifamily developer, and she developed 15 of these and about 1,500 units over her time there. We have one community that's under construction right now in Doraville. We have a second phase that is financed and working towards closing this summer in Doraville. And then we have a community in Gainesville that is financed or working towards closing this summer. We got funding as quickly as possible. Things just take a little bit of time. So we're still building the business, but we have 3 active live developments. We have 2 more that we're in the pipeline, and we're hopefully working on this one.
How many of those have y'all sold?
0.
And how many of those do y'all manage yourselves?
We do hire a third-party management company, a group called One Street Residential. They are incredible managers. They own and manage Hearthside Brookley and Brookhaven. And they also own and manage a number of other communities in the Atlanta metro area. I'm happy to tour anybody here. The reason why we don't property manage on the affordable side is you have to have a certain amount of scale to make it financially make sense. I've known the One Street team for many years, and they were willing to take on a third-party client just because we have a great relationship with them. But they're a best-in-class manager. They're truly excellent. I would love to show you their communities.
Only other comment I have is kind of playing off of what Councilman Mesa said. The balconies, I feel like, I don't want to say that's a cop-out. I don't want to say it like that. I just did.
I understand.
But I think it's important. I think it's important that folks be able to, as the councilman said, engage with the community. And there's something about being able to open your door and walk out on your balcony or your patio that makes you feel like you're part of what is around you, not just going home and parking your car and going in your door. So that is important. My only other comment on the design of the building is it's just a little stark. It looks very plain. And I don't know what can be done to dress it up or, but I do feel like, it's a very stark building to be sitting down in a neighborhood. It's a stark building to be sitting anywhere. But I feel like it needs to be more in conformity with what we're seeing at the other buildings going up around the city. We put a lot of work into bringing housing here that still makes the city look good and makes people feel good. And I want folks to be able to go home and feel good about where they're going home to. And when I see that design, just the plain elements of it, it doesn't feel good to me. So that's my opinion, my thoughts. I don't know what we can do about that, but I feel like we can make it look a little bit better.
Sure. And the balconies, as mentioned before, we make our requests and, you take those with what we do. I can live with balconies, need to be able to build up wood.
Developers understand, ask for everything, and, I don't mean that against you. I'm just saying any developer is gonna ask for 35 waivers and hope they get 5.
Sure.
But we want to make sure that we're building the best for everyone. And I don't want to, when you keep saying high quality, I don't know what high quality means to you or to the average person. I mean, it could be a different meaning to everybody in this room, high quality. But even when it comes to housing affordability, folks making $50,000 a year, whatever numbers you threw out there, I want them to come home to the best that they can come home to. And when you're building in an established community, I want the best product that we can possibly get for our neighbors that are already there. Everybody's going to have to be a part of this community. This is not going to be a separate community. This is going to be part of the community. So it needs to be the best it can be for everybody involved.
Absolutely.
We already, we have a strong desire to have more affordable housing, workforce housing in Chamblee. We've got people on staff that's practically their full-time job is to work on this stuff. And I kind of took a little bit of issue, like we don't want it to have, you kind of hinted like, if you don't want it here, then you're not going to get it anywhere. So, we proved a development. I don't even know how far, it's not very far away from this project that's affordable housing, checks all the boxes. It's different. It's out on the road. There's just the subtle little details. It's not that we're not affordable housing and that we don't want this and we don't want that. We do, but it's got to be done in a way that minimizes the impact on everybody else, but also it keeps the goals. The affordable housing people say if you keep doing the things the same way you are, then you're going to get the same results. And right now we're deficient in that area of affordable housing. So we take that to heart. We would definitely want to try to look at things a new way, but I'm still struggling, especially with the parking. Not the parking, but the traffic. So there's other concerns, but that is a huge one. I'd hate to see somebody lose their life, because somebody else got cheap rent. So anyway, that's it.
And we know we need the product. There's no doubt about that. I say it all the time. Everybody up here feels the same. I think everybody up here feels the same as I do. If you want to be able to live in the city of Chamblee, we want you to be able to live here. So we know what we need. We just need to make sure we're putting it in the best place, and that, as the council member said, that it's safe for everyone.
Yeah, I guess my question is, what is the difference between the Chamblee or the Mercy community as far as traffic goes than where we are? Again, I'm probably speaking a little bit out of turn, but our, the road is not a high speed limit road, and I would not expect our, normal residents are going to comply with the traffic requirements, and it's, turning onto Chamblee, the Safe Streets thing, the accidents happen on the major roads. I'm not trying to be combative, and I apologize, but this is our only shot to be able to discuss this. So, yeah, the traffic, we're doing all that we can. We are asked to provide a traffic report. We give the traffic report It does not show that the traffic study is required, but then there's doubt cast on the quality of the report. I'm not sure what we're supposed to do.
I think when we're talking about that particular road, every project that has come before this council has been vetted and beat to death, because it is quite a dangerous road to be pulling out on. I can name quite a few developments that have come before this council in the last few years, and all of them have faced the same scrutiny about pulling out onto the main road. It can be very dangerous. So again, it's not directed at you.
No.
It's not directed at your company. It's not directed at the product that you're trying to deliver. It's just about the safety of that particular thoroughfare and making sure that everybody, we don't want to lose a life.
Of course.
And that we want to have this discussion now rather than talking about something else later. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Just really quickly, apologize, it took me a little bit to find the specific page in the trip generation report, but on page 2 of the trip generation report, it does show that there would be an average of 200 daily trips generated by this property. During the AM peak hours, there would be a total of 24 trips added to the normal traffic pattern, and during the PM peak hour, it would be 31 total trips added. So the threshold to produce a full traffic impact analysis is 1,800 daily trips. That's this would have to be off by a factor of 9 in order to trigger that threshold.
Thank you, Matt. All right, anything else on this one? All right, thank you. Okay, that takes us down to Chamblee Tucker Road. Any questions or from council on that item? It's the motels and the Waffle House. Okay. That's correct.
No, this is just future land use
There
map.
you go, future land use. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know, you were probably thinking about something
I
else.
actually do think we may have skipped over that piece. We talked about the future land use amendment, but not the rezoning piece for the parking lot, but.
I might have.
No,
Might
as
have.
staff, it's always my fault, so I'm happy to take the blame on that.
Matt. All right. Was it? Do you have something to say about it?
I just want to make sure we didn't do anything.
All right. Does that cover everything? Madam Clerk, all right. So now we're down to Chamblee Tucker. Any questions, concerns about the Waffle House or the motels? All right. Mayor and council items, nothing on there tonight. Thank you, guys. Go down to public comments. The mayor is the presiding officer. All remarks shall be addressed to the city council as a body, not to individual members. Anyone wishing to speak shall come to the microphone, give your name and address to the city clerk. Limit remarks to 3 minutes unless further time is granted by council. And not speak a second time until everyone wishing to speak has spoken once. No one can speak more than twice.
3 minutes, Ronnie.
Anyone wishing to speak, come on up and be recognized. Hey, Ronnie, what you got?
I'm Ronnie Mayer. I own a few properties in Chamblee. The gentleman kept saying neighborhood and community. You build this 4-story, 5-story building over there, you destroy the community and you destroy the neighborhood. You know, you talk about traffic. I'm a tow truck guy, 52 years. I can tell you about wrecks, traffic, and nobody even mentioned the fire truck that comes out that way to Claremont. With sirens are blasting, they can't even get out there. So if you pass this, you know, you're going to destroy. I wish these other people here had left. You're going to destroy their neighborhood. Another thing, I would love to get y'all, before I forget, Mayor Mark, I want to thank you for coming to Cross Keys High School to support everybody at Ashford Park. Look forward to seeing you at Lakeside High School for the other meeting with the school board. We need to get with the ARC, Atlanta Regional Committee, with Karen Lupton. Y'all know her quite well. She used to be here on the group here. And we need an underpass or an overpass at 8th Street. Now that they've slowed down the speed limit on Dresden, everybody from Gwinnett County comes off 85 at Chamblee Tucker, comes down to New Peachtree, to Caldwell Road, to Ashford Park Elementary School, to Reading Road. And we have enough problem there now. If we get with the ARC, with John Osloff's office, get some of the federal bucks, we can make it happen between y'all and our city, Brookhaven. And now in Chamblee, we have a problem with our code enforcement here. It's like the Gestapo. We had the ice storm here, a tree fell. Mr. Zern employs 65 people. The next day after the ice storm, there was a big yellow on his door. Your tree has fallen. You have, come on. He employs all those people. Ed Volzacra, you got to put a wall around your dumpster. I went to the health clinic that's now for sale across from Chamblee High School. They got a little cheapo, little like a fence around it with a claw thing that's blown down. I don't see a yellow tag over there. At right behind my property on Hardy Avenue, when we had the flood last week, mud all on the road, I didn't see code enforcement over there. We see more code enforcements over there off of Lawson Way, and it's Gestapo, them tactics, and I'm tired of it. I can't even get a police officer over there. We can't get shoot radar. I need y'all to approve Lawson Way. I need y'all. Time's up?
There.
Well, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council? Coming up.
Hi, I'm Ashley Oldag. I'm here for Chamblee 101, but a topic was brought up that actually pertains to my life. The housing that they're talking about over off of Hardy, I go to the CrossFit gym that's on 6th Street, right next to where the Mercy housing's going in. Traffic already is a nightmare, and they're just doing construction at this point. There's no sidewalks over there. In our gym, we do run on Hardy when we are forced to run our mile run and all of that. So my concern is the traffic going through 4th Street, Hardy. When I'm going to the gym, turning left off of New Peachtree Road onto Hardy, there's no turn lane. There's no turn lane going down Claremont to turn left into that neighborhood. So I'm already trying to figure out a way to get over to the gym without getting into an accident. So my concern in hearing tonight about the new housing has nothing to do with the type of housing going in. It's just the pure quantity of cars that'll go through that neighborhood. That's already a sleepy little part of town. So that's all. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Eric Johnson again, 3368 Hardy. Being a developer, I wanted to kind of answer a couple questions, difficult questions for a developer to answer, but I'd try to give a little light to them. We didn't really talk about it. Some were approved, some were denied, but you got a piece of property, 1.81 acres in the middle of a neighborhood that required 8 variances and 10 waivers, some of which I know you guys don't, or the council does not really agree with. And Mayor, you brought up aesthetics. One of you council members lives in my townhomes. I could have done the same thing and put wood siding on the back of that apartment. All they would have seen it was riding on MARTA. We did not. We did not put wood decks on the back of our balconies. We used Trex system. We bricked the whole thing. Was that more expensive? You bet. But the quality was there because we invested in Chamblee. We made it up. Okay, we made a little bit less than we did, and it was a big risk. I was the first guy down there buying that lot from MARTA. But it was an investment into neighborhoods and single-family dwellings, homes. Again, I agree with you, not in my backyard. It has nothing to do with the affordable housing as far as I'm concerned, because it is needed. Again, I like to say workforce housing. It's needed. You got 96 beds, you're gonna have 96 cars, you got 81 parking spaces, and guests. So there's already a parking issue over there right now. It's only gonna get worse. Mercy Care, that is fantastic. I'm a OLA guy, Our Lady of the Assumption, Sisters of Mercy. What a great, and the Mercy Housing on Peachtree and what they're doing there, the difference is it's right on Claremont. It's right on that node. You're not having to go through a neighborhood to get to Claremont. That's the difference. So again, I would respectfully hope that you guys, maybe we can come up with something better there. At times, I've talked to some of the council about actually putting nice townhomes from 4th Avenue down a couple properties that overlook Peachtree DeKalb Airport, maybe have a little rooftop on it or something where people, it would actually enhance that already wonderful neighborhood. Some of the neighbors left. I'm just really concerned, and it won't impact me whichever way it goes. It won't. But I feel for the neighbors there. Again, I would invest. I probably won't do something there now if those apartments are there, because it kind of changes the whole fabric of that neighborhood feel. So just some things to look at, okay? Thank you for letting me talk.
Council. All right, do we have executive session this evening? All right, thank you all for joining us.